If you've been an anime fan for a while, you know that anime wasn't nearly as popular as it is now back in the day. We live in a world where you can take a walk in the city and see f***ing Gojo on the bus. I vividly remember me being in the 5th grade back in 2015 and talking about some yokai watch, and niggas looked at me crazy. If he was black, unless the anime you were talking about was Dragon Ball, Naruto, or Pokemon, expect to get jumped during recess.
Fight back!
But the narrative of watching anime equals weird slowly began to change after Attack on Titan and One Punch Man took the world by storm. And then both decided to go silent for 4 years. So during that silence, the world slowly began to revert back into thinking anime is weird until the day a baby that gave off light was born. Superpowers continued to be discovered without the cause ever being identified. The world began to resemble those of comics before, and he was always here. These superpowers are called quirks, and 80% of the population are born with one. And sadly for Izuku Midoriya, he's one of the 20% of people without one. This didn't stop him from naturally wanting to save his middle school bully in the heat of the moment, which just so happened to garner the attention of its idol. Everyone knows the story by now. The young Midoriya is told that he too can become a hero, and this is the story of how Deku became the world's greatest hero for like 5 seconds. My Hero Academia took the world by storm back in 2016. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing it. A shonen series about superheroes back on the MCU was actually good. Horikoshi was in his bag when creating the series. It was bound to be a hit. But most importantly, MHA was a breath of fresh air. This was around the time that the big three was coming to an end. The Bleach manga had recently ended, and the Naruto anime had already began to air its final episodes. Meanwhile, One Piece is still going because Oda is a fucking dog. With the big three practically being over, most shonen heads ain't know what to do. They were not about to start reading Boruto, so instead they decided to watch the show with the crybaby green haired teen. And from seasons 1 to 3, MHA did good to no wrong. Quality animation, a great supporting cast, a legendary soundtrack, and hype ass moments that would leave you speechless. This was the first shonen I saw that had an actual winner of the tournament arc. It was such a great start. When did the anime community collectively begin to agree that the series had fallen off? Well, there's hella reasons why.
Somebody once told me it's your power, Todoroki. Your mother burned your face when she left.
This fandom stinks. It's legit impossible for me to tell someone I'm an MHA fan without them looking at me like I'm some sort of foreign creature. Yo, Munchie, what's some of your favorite shonen? That's a good question. I'm gonna have to start off with One Piece, obviously. Chainsaw Man, Def up there too, and MHA too. Fuck it. Did you just say MHA? Yeah? Are you gay? No, I'm not gay. MHA is just a series I grew up with, so I got a soft spot for it type shit. Oh, so you're one of them weird shippers then? Nah, I be shipping Toga and Uraraka, I ain't gonna lie. But that's not even weird though. Nah, I see how you be moving.
Your life is not.
Fights in My Hero Academia are dull. If you're watching MHA and expecting to see niggas throwing straight hands with flashing lights and explosions 24/7, then I'm sorry to break it to you, this is not the show to watch for that. You only be seeing that type of shit in the movies, and that's only because Horikoshi deadasses gives Studio Bones a rough draft and claims that it's technically canon, so the animators can make a 2-hour Sakuga special. You don't watch MHA fights for the choreography, you watch them for the story they tell. Deku versus Muscular, All Might versus All for One, and Endeavor versus the high-end Nomu are not iconic because of how they look, but because of how they depict the story of how these heroes are humans that are constantly dealing with the pressure to not lose, and seeing them overcome that struggle by going plus ultra just sits with you, leaving you with nothing else to say but damn. And then season 5 came out and fucking ruined everything. Season 5 of MHA is absolute dog shit.
That is one big pile of shit.
Words can't even describe how much I hate this season. It was already doomed to fail since it was adapting the worst arc in the series, Class 1A versus 1B. Why did Horikoshi decide to give us another training arc, let alone one that focuses on Class 1B? The world may never know. This was around the time that the anime community began to realize MHA is repetitive as fuck. Don't believe me? Let me break down each season structure for you in simple terms. Season 1, training arc followed by another training arc, but this time the villains invade. Season 2, tournament arc, followed by big fight, followed by another training arc again. Season 3, training arc, but the villains evade again, followed by big battle, followed by, you're not gonna believe it, guys, another training arc. Season 4, big battle, followed by training arc, but this time with instruments.
Well,
It really took Deku 3 seasons to realize, let me use my legs. But I guess that's not that bad compared to Luffy taking 300 episodes to unlock Year Second. That being said, nobody wanted another training arc, let alone one with Class B. They really tried to save the shitty ass arc too by having Deku unlock the ability to use multiple quirks in it. This had to be the most whack way to reveal that our MC is basically the Avatar. We could have got a mini arc where Deku unlocks it fighting a new villain like Fleckturn in the movie, cause ain't no way this series is 430 chapters long and Deku's ops consist of Shigaraki, Stain, Overhaul, All for One, and I guess Muscular? I had faith that Studio Bones could save this arc by making it something quick but good animation, and then they hit us with the One Piece pacing and made this shit 13 episodes long. But have no fear, because My Villain Academia arc was finally here. The arc that had gotten me to fall in love with the manga by taking the spotlight completely away from the heroes and developing the villains completely, especially Shigaraki, who finally blossoms into his own supervillain. Unlike All for One, he wasn't evil for the sake of being evil. He had a rough upbringing and was exposed to the corruptions of hero society at a young age, which motivated him to destroy it so that he could rebuild it himself. All Might might have been the symbol of peace, but Shigaraki had become the symbol of freedom. And with 12 episodes remaining, it was time for Studio Bones to bring My Villain Academia to the next level, solidifying Shigaraki as the best villain in modern shonen and bring MHA back to its former glory. Is how it turned out in some alternate universe, because Studio Bones had the genius idea to adapt the Endeavor Agency arc before My Villain Academia with only 12 episode slots remaining. They managed to turn 12 chapters into 6 episodes. They even did the One Piece special and only adapted one chapter in episode 105, leaving My Villain Academia with only 6 episodes to work with. And the end result we got was...
you better stop! Stop! Look at the top of his head.
Why is it that Ida can get flawless animation fighting fucking Mudman, but the main villain's awakening fight looks like a YouTube fan animation? Which leads me to the main reason everyone started hating on MHA is inconsistent. And season 5 was easily the most inconsistent the adaptation had ever looked. This was also an issue in season 4. Mirio continuing to protect Eri even after losing his quirk was reduced to a slideshow, Blue Lock style. But Deku versus Gentle Criminal, a fight that's nowhere near as impactful, got the Sakuga treatment. Vincent Chansard, the man who played a huge role in animating Sukuna vs. Maharaga, actually animated a sequence for Toga's awakening, and Studio Bones decided to remove it from the final cut. When I first found this out, I subconsciously gave up on the MHA anime. My childhood shonen series was officially washed, and with the war arc approaching, it was bound to be a disaster. Yeah, they gave the most built-up fight in the series at the time the 7 deadly frames treatment. But surprisingly, the war arc was okay. Was it anything special? Fuck no. If anything, all they did was the bare minimum, color in the manga and add movement. There were some standout scenes like Miriko versus the Nomu and President Mike destroying Shigaraki's healing chamber, but the big moments like Bakugo's sacrifice and Shigaraki's speech about heroes and villains were just average. But then...
Looks like a huge villain.
The Dark Deku arc was the best the MHA anime had looked in years. Everybody was praising it, and most importantly, Bones remembered an adaptation is supposed to elevate the manga's key moments. Deku one-shotting Muscular, you would never think he's a hero. The Fajin reveal in Class 1A versus Deku were all done to perfection. For the first time in years, the series had felt alive again, and with the final arc on the horizon, the main question was, can Studio Bones keep this level of production going for a whole season, especially an arc that's filled with action from start to finish?
今のmidoriya izukuは言うなれば
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
MHA MHA Season 7, the beginning of the end. I'm happy to say that this is easily the most complete season of MHA. From start to finish, there's no dull moments, and most importantly, the animation was consistent. Season 7 covers 2/3 of the final war arc, which means the next season of MHA will be its last. It's bittersweet seeing the first shonen manga I was able to experience on a weekly basis reach its end, but I'm happy that Studio Bones didn't fumble this arc. Off the rip, this season started off with a bang with the Stars and Stripes versus Shigaraki fight, and yeah, Shigaraki might have got a Mickey Mouse win, and Horikoshi created a character that only lived for an episode and a half, but I don't give a fuck because this fight is hype as hell. They perfectly showcased how Stars and Stripes was a dog. Didn't give a single fuck that she lost her body. She took the fight to the Vestige world and left All For One scarred for life. This is how you capture an audience's attention. It leaves the viewer feeling the impact Stars and Stripes had on AFO's plan, and as the inevitable war is slowly approaching, it focuses back to the heroes, leaving you thinking, if not even the strongest American hero can stop Shigaraki, how is Deku going to? This series has always exceeded my expectations when it comes to remembering its supporting cast. When I say everyone of importance is in the season, I mean everyone. The trailer that's been teased since season 2 is finally revealed. Everyone thought it was Invisible Girl, but it was Aoyama the whole time. And if you rewatch the series, it's crazy how it was in our face the whole time. Forget about the fact he left cheese outside Deku's room. In the training camp arc, Dabi didn't even try to hurt him. The main reason MHA gained so much praise at first is because of how it took generic shonen tropes and perfected them to a T. Sometimes even adding a little spin to it. The underdog main character trope, a new take on how to write a deuteragonist by making him a narcissistic bully who's forced to atone for his sins and change his behavior as the series progresses, instead of the typical edgelord with a fucked up family. Todoroki is the one with that cliche instead. But unlike Sasuke, whose family is just one big ass clan, the Todoroki family is an actual family that suffers from a never-ending internal conflict, all because of Endeavor's obsession with surpassing All Might. A main antagonist who doesn't start off extremely overpowered or have any motives, but instead naturally progresses into becoming one. In my opinion, All Might is the perfect embodiment of what it means to be the strongest, not just because of his strength, but because of what he built. He is the symbol of peace. So imagine how shocked the world was when he didn't die in the fight against All For One, but instead was forced to live the rest of his life watching the society he built crumble.
Get it! I know what a heavy burden this is to carry alone! Which is why I want to scream at you!
But I'll elaborate on this later. With this being the final arc in the series, it means our fan favorite characters and dynamics would be getting their conclusion. One last moment to solidify themselves in shonen history. Love him or hate him, you can't deny the fact that Endeavor's character journey is one of the best written in this medium. The emotionless man filled with frustration due to his inferiority to All Might, and created a toxic family, one out of pure anger, slowly trying to atone for his sins by trying to form a genuine relationship with his children. But it's just like Dabi said,
the past never dies. You will reap everything you've sown!
Because after Todoroki's failure to put down Dabi for good, Dabi becomes a literal ticking time bomb and heads straight to Endeavor, resulting in one of the most emotional fights I've ever seen. The fact that it's revealed Dabi had his mother's ice quirk the whole time, and Endeavor's realization that the monster before him would have never been created had he just given Dabi more attention and proper training, is truly heartbreaking. All Dabi ever wanted was to be loved and praised by his family, but he's already too far gone. And how ironic is it that the little brother he despised of so much is the one who puts him out of his misery using the cooling ability he lacked. The Todoroki family conflict ends with Endeavor finally apologizing to his family for the harm he's done, with his words finally reaching Dabi in his now deteriorated state.
Am I cute?
領域展開無料空所
How do you do that?
Uraraka versus Toga. This, my friends, is true love. Toxic MHA shipper jokes aside, I love this fight. Seeing Uraraka and Toga's dynamic being a parallel to Deku and Shigaraki's had me feeling geeked. MHA has always been good when it comes to showing how villains are just people with bad upbringings. The Joker once said, all it takes is one bad day. And for Toga, it wasn't just a bad day, but the fact she was forced to be someone she wasn't just because it's not the social norm. She thought she could finally be free after making the League of Villains her new family, but even then, she was still just putting up a facade. It's not her fault that she was born with a quirk that psychologically conditioned her to digest the blood of those she loves. The problem lies in the system, trying to correct her instead of guiding her. We only see Toga struggle with having an uncanny quirk, but imagine the thousands of other children who had this struggle in such a fast evolving society. While other people view Toga's smile as creepy, Uraraka was so mesmerized by it, she couldn't help but be jealous of how beautiful it was. And in order to see it in its full glory, Uraraka pours her heart out into saving the inner girl who just wants to be herself, even if it means taking a fatal stab wound. This is true heroism. But damn girl, she clearly don't want you. In the end, Uraraka's words finally reach Toga as they descend from the sky. And they lived happily ever after. God fucking damn it. At least she died holding her lover in her arms. They were probably gonna give her ass life in prison anyways. Call me crazy all you want, but Katsuki Bakugo is arguably the best written deuteragonist in shonen. I'm tired of the disrespect y'all be putting on his name. He's up there with Vegeta, Sasuke, Zoro, and definitely Megumi's bum ass. At the start of the war, the League of Villains succeeded at separating Deku from Shigaraki, leaving it up to Bakugo to stall until Deku arrives back at the battlefield. It's finally his time to shine. He's finally given his moment to prove to the world why he's worthy of being the #1 hero, just like Deku. Bakugo's strongest move didn't even leave a dent on Shigaraki. Bro didn't even pay him any mind and just threw his ass to the side. Even Bakugo desperately wondering if the gap between him and Shigaraki is really that big. He begins to think back to his journey so far, how he misunderstood Deku's heroism as pity, his regret of being the reason All Might retired early, and his fear that the quirkless nerd he used to bully had already surpassed him. He stands back up tall, but this time it's different. He's surrounded by shining clusters and blitzes right towards Shiggy and hits him with a point-blank explosion. He even perfectly dodges the follow-up attack. He was giving this nigga PTSD of the second OFA user. Bakugo's quirk had finally awakened. He's now at a level that can rival Shigaraki, and just like Deku, he was destroying his body in order to go plus ultra, just like the man they looked up to. But it was only for a moment, since his heart ends up exploding. And as the light fades to rain, we're greeted to this. The fact bro just wanted to get All Might's autograph this whole time and died with the card right next to him is crazy. But is this truly the end for our deuteragonist? The answer to that will be revealed next season.
Midoriya Izuku.
The final battle begins. Deku versus Shigaraki.
The final face-off between Deku and Shigaraki is finally here. And after the abomination that was their fight in season 6, I was curious to see how Bones would redeem themselves. And my goodness, these niggas unironically went plus ultra animating this fight. From start to finish is beautiful. They even played Yusei Run for the clash between AFO, Control Shigaraki, and Deku. The real fight starts after Shigaraki regains full control of his body. Seeing my favorite character in the series break free from AFO's control was a spectacle to see. There's just something about seeing his whole motivations and life journey told so meticulously that had my ass jumping for joy. No diddy. All he wants is the destruction of everything connected to that house. Absolute cinema, but not as cinematic as the return of the symbol of peace.
Because I am here.
Hearing All Might say I am here for the first time in years had me feeling ecstatic. All Might wasn't All Might just because he had one for all. Even before inheriting the quirk, he was always persistent on bringing peace to this world, as showcased in the flashback with Shimura. Horikoshi easily could have just killed All Might back in the fight with All For One in season 3, but he chose to let him live and inspire the youth. It's through being powerless again that All Might remembers he doesn't need one for all to be a hero. He just needs to go plus ultra. Most people spectating this fight would view it as a noble way for somebody to game end themselves, but to All Might, he's just doing the best he can to buy time for his protege. Shattered bones, failing respiratory system, failing suit, it doesn't matter because he's fucking All Might. Even when he's seemingly on his last legs, he can't help but laugh, because even in the condition he's in, he still found a way to help people. Shout out to the girl from the first movie for creating this suit, along with all the other movie characters watching from the sidelines. Like I said earlier, everyone is here. Even Lady in the Gaunt had to get some shots in on Shigaraki, and Gentle's comeback was so good that Might U started playing. My Hero Academia is great again, and the upcoming final season means a lot to me, as this is the first time I'll be experiencing the shonen I grew up with reach its conclusion. And with new series like Dandadan and Kaiju number 8 releasing this year, I've realized that the era of new gen shonen like Demon Slayer, Black Clover, and MHA is basically over. The upcoming final season isn't just a farewell to a beloved series, it's the end of an era.
Kimi da.